Let's go just in order that they were received. Eric in North Carolina who disagrees, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex. Actually a pretty big fan. Agree with a lot of what you say, but there's one subject you're consistently dead wrong on, and that's your defense of Stephen Hatfield. I can promise you he mailed the anthrax letters. I'm the man that caught him. I gave Agent Eric Davis at the Charlotte FBI Stephen Hatfield's last name, which I read off his army jacket as he stalked my house out here in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, 7 months before Stephen Hatfield became a TV household name.
Well, sir, you need to, obviously, I'm not omnipresent and don't know everything. I know that quite a few patsies got charged, just like Richard Jewell was a patsy for, the bombing at Olympic Park. And I know that they killed the last patsy. And the media did, when they said he committed suicide, they didn't even point out he was in federal custody when he supposedly took the prescription Tylenol. So I would love for you to send me a letter with this written up with your credentials and what your proof is, and I would love to see that information.
But on the air, but I never got any kind of response. I know you guys probably get flooded with emails. I would be glad to send you my stuff. I have FOIA requests that I have had answered. I still, actually, I'll be totally honest with you, because it was covered up by Special Agent Jim Page and Agent Eric Davis, I still have anthrax that was mailed to me. And anybody out there on your show can go Google Westgate Postal Facility, which serves all mail.
Well, sir, listen, here's the deal. You say you tried to contact us. Send us a letter, saying, give to Alex Jones. This concerns the anthrax case. I would really want to talk to you. And I appreciate your call, sir. I mean, here's an example, just briefly, of what I'm talking about here. This morning, I'm on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, and I like to scan comments because I get good points and things mentioned by listeners. But almost always when something's being recommended to me, it's like, why isn't the scum trader covering this? Because I didn't know. But more often than not, I was on YouTube and on my site going, the scum Jones won't cover the lobbyists saying launch stage provocation to start war with Iran. We had an article yesterday morning. We broke that story from nowhere on YouTube. I covered it for like an hour. I'm covering it now. But if someone sees any article, if I have an article about humanless, computer-driven cars in California being approved, I see a comment in there going, you trash, you're not covering this. And it's almost like, it's like the public's so dumbed down, they've awoken to the government's evil, but they still have no navigation skills of, I'm driving over that hill over there. And you drive over the hill and go, I see a red fire engine. They lied to me and didn't tell me it was a red fire engine. It's like, we didn't know there was a red fire engine over the hill. I mean, it's like really weird. Because that's the most common criticism I get is, why aren't you covering this? Why aren't you covering that? Why aren't you going over this? Why aren't you going over that? It's like, I didn't know about it, or I get busy, and it's so much. Here's the message. It isn't about Alex Jones. I'm a guy who loves liberty like you do. And if you have all this evidence, you should turn a camera on, show the documents, and shoot a YouTube video. And then I can go spot check some of your documents instead of you mailing me stuff and me having to double check it all here. And then other people can vet it. And then media may pick it up. Don't just try to go to Alex Jones. Because I'm like trying to drink Lake Superior out of a straw here. And keep sending me stuff. It's just that you need to move with it as well. Vaughn in Washington, D.C. disagrees. Vaughn, you're on the air.
Yes, Alex, I don't totally disagree with much of what you're saying, but just think about it. Memorandum 200, written, of course, by F. Kissinger, he had mentioned how the population was growing from 1830 up until the time he had written in his projections to 2000. Based on the money system that we have, that we operate off of in the world, fiat, not resource-based money system, the population is too large. It's too big. And you don't think that it's too big for the economic money system that we have to exchange?
No, sir. The globalists all day talk about how they want to have the economy be good for us, but in their more internal memorandum, it's all about shutting down economies and making us poor. we have incredible wealth, and the elite says we'll overproduce and deplete their resources if we become wealthy. But then they separately block the development of real new technologies because that would destroy their monopolies. Okay? And so the truth is we should already be on Mars right now, and there is a breakaway civilization. How advanced it is, we don't know. But that's why they're on this power trip talking about staging terror attacks on TV in front of us, because they're that arrogant. And I appreciate your call, but that doesn't really sound like a disagreement there. I'm moving quick here. Matt in California who disagrees, you're on the air.
Yes, I've been subjected to listening to you from my brother-in-law for about a week. And I can't say that I can disagree with everything you say exponentially. Even if you were right about all of your paranoid rantings, I couldn't get behind you because of your anger. You're just such an angry person. You're scary.
Yeah, you bet, buddy. I am scary. Absolutely. I got red blood. I like my wife. I like freedom, God, guts, and guns. You better believe it. But let's expand on that. You said paranoid rantings. Sure. The guy just called in about Memorandum 200 to break countries down and starve people to death, which they're doing to the tune of $30 million a year. Now, I'm giving you real numbers here. I'm giving you documents. I'm giving you Operation Himmler, staged terror attacks by Hitler to start World War II. Why is it that popularly known? I'm giving you real memorandum and real names of people calling for terror attacks today to take our liberties and start World War III. I predicted all of what's happening in Europe right now with precision, not because it was hard, but because it was all public. I mean, specifically, where am I wrong?
Listen, the thing about it is that it's wrong in that I don't feel I have as much in common with you bitter clingers and you gun toters as I would with if we had a foreign occupation. I would have more in common with a Russian or a German troop on the street. I'm not afraid of progress. You're trying to say that we should dismantle the government? People, do you realize they can't go backwards, that people need this system? And people like you are just trying to take away from the people that don't have.
All right, hold on just a minute. Sir, is this a serious phone call? Because I started hearing you almost laugh right there. Is this a serious phone call? Because I know there are people like you out there. Are you serious?
I'm very nervous, sir, because you're frightening. You are so aggressive. You talk about, you get into it with people, you bow up to people, and you yell a lot. And I've had to hear about you from my brother-in-law for months, about how wonderful you are and how you're going to save America. And the whole time, all you do is you're just selling products. Oh, you want to buy my water filter? Want to buy my pollen burst? You know? Yes, I believe that America needs to progress forward. And the thing is, I'm hoping that we actually have our current president for life, because we need to keep progressing forward. If we take a step backward into the evil ways of Romney, or worse yet, Ron Paul, good God, it could all fall apart.
All right, I appreciate your call. I don't think that's a serious call, but I have heard people like that, so it might be. He did attack me for selling things. Let me explain something. George Soros and MSNBC get banker bailout money, your tax money. $500 million in stimulus went to MSNBC to not hire one person, but give all their pig-like staff raises. Okay? The high-level pig-like staff. I sell products I believe in to self-finance, and that's supposedly a bad thing. By the way, we've sold over 10,000 of the 50,000 magazines we have. It's going to sell out very soon. The new October issue of InfoWars magazine is out. Buy it in bulk and give it to people. InfoWarsStore.com. Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPur. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPur, and it's available discounted at InfoWars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPur is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPur. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. Now, in the first hour, I took some calls that disagreed, and David Icke was on. Folks held. We're going to go to you right now. People that disagree, 800-259-9231. I need to do this more. Not just where people that, disagree go to the head of the line, because we don't screen your calls unless you volunteer that, because it's always just a way for somebody to get to the head of the line. I disagree with you. The New World Order is worse than you say. It's stuff like that. Or, I know you're working for the reptoids, or, whatever the joke is. I'm talking about people that think this is a loving global government we have. Or people that think it's good to have false flag terror attacks that are now admitted. That's what we're talking about. Then I'm going to get into our story that's up at drudgereport.com. A lot of other big sites are picking it up. Catching the bizarre TSA freeze security drill caught on camera. We've got an initiative to expose what the TSA is up to. Our crew went to the NSA a few days ago. That aired on the nightly news last night. We have some video of that. Also, the analysis of Judge Dredd conditioning people for the police state, and an update from the thought criminal who has now been charged in court for riding on the street with chalk here in the formerly free United States of America. Now, the psychopath globalist-run New World Order. George, Scott, others are going to you right now. George in Connecticut, welcome to the airwaves. You are on the air.
Hi, Alex. I sort of disagree with the way you handle certain things. It's not so much the subject matter, but I think that it's very frustrating when you get upset and then get us all worked up, and it's like getting worked up for going to the ball and we don't know where to go. Some solutions or action plans might be more in line. So because I don't want to get all burnt out and bent out of shape and not. So something like the chalk thing. Why not call up the governor's office and have this judge pulled? I mean, this is outrageous. Give the number out of the governor or whoever's in charge of putting these judges in power. When there's a 10,000 calls to the governor to yank this judge, don't you think the judge might have a different point of view?
I don't know. They might make the judge king of California. They're like, wow, you hate freedom? You're God. Listen, I hear you and I appreciate your call. Look, I am a reporter, not a general. I have like generals call me up and famous spies, and Alex, you need to lead the resistance, and either it's a setup or they're not living in the real world. I am here to try to give you full spectrum breakdown from different angles of what I believe is going on. Okay? Doesn't mean I have all the answers. And then I believe in you enough that you're going to go out and take action and wake people up. I didn't know that in Austin, the state police, if they see you, who are operating in Austin, that's who I found out it's done it twice, will arrest children, women, they don't care. If they see kids playing hopscotch, you're going to jail. Of course, they should just go to Target then and Walmart and H-E-B and arrest people selling it. I mean, this is a system that wants to put the Amish behind bars because they're not criminals, who wants to, but protect the government that runs the drugs and ships the guns to Mexico. They arrest you for protesting on the streets of Austin now. And even though they lose the court cases, they don't care. It's the enemy. It's got to be driven out of existence before the implosion. They will follow orders until the edge of hell. They would feed their children into wood chippers if ordered to. I mean, it's that level of evil. And they're not even evil themselves. They're zombies. They will follow orders right to Nuremberg too. Because they're zombies. They're not real people anymore. You talk to just the general public. They're not there. Nobody's home. So move on to those that aren't completely destroyed. We don't laugh at the zombies. We don't laugh at the jellyfish. We're sad for them. They'll be dead from cancer, viruses, and fluoride soon enough anyways, and GMO. We just have to move on and triage the victims. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're destroyed. When they smile at you with a demonic look on their face, that's a program. It's a program. They're in fantasy. They watch cartoons as kids of the tough guys. They watch pro wrestling. They think it's real. That's usually the type now they get as cops, and they believe that you're the bad guy and they're going to show you. They don't know they've got a look of demon in their eye. This is the new America. We are a fallen, abortion-loving, a partial birth abortion-loving, 50-plus million babies we cut up. So they're going to cut us up, and they're going to cut up your pension funds, and all the prosperity's gone. It's gone. You want it, you got it. Replaced with the prosperity and the property and the health will be petty power trips where everyone from a toll booth attendant to a McDonald's employee can spy on you and henpeck you, and that's the new sacrament. Okay, I'm ranting. We have to find people who haven't been put in the zombie state. I mean, it really more and more comes down to that. It comes down to consciousness and people being spiritually blind. I mean, you talk about solutions. I'm going to go out as soon as I get the time, and I'm going to draw freedom all over the street. And if I get arrested, so what? I mean, that's the whole point. Like, well, you could get arrested. Well, yeah, I could live in a police state, too, if I don't stand up against this. What's next? Arresting you as a terrorist for protesting? Oh, they do that now at the DNC. And the Pentagon shows up in court and says, keep him in jail. Protesting is terrorism. And you're like, that sounds crazy. They're getting you used to it. They're like, hey, we chop up babies. It's not a human. Oh, yeah, it's 9 months old. We could adopt it. If you had that baby and killed it yourself a week premature, we'd put you in jail, but we're going to chop it up now. We're going to take your baby's blood at birth and put it in a DNA database. We're going to do what we want, when we want. We're going to give your kids inoculations without consent, even though it's illegal. We're going to lie to you and say it's the law to take shots. We're going to do what we want. We're going to kill you, and you're going to thank us for it. There are hundreds of GMO studies on record. They just came out more this week. Big, major French government studies, you name it, U.S. studies, that these mainline GMO crops that kill the bugs that eat them, little tip, if corn or wheat kills bugs when they eat it, it has pesticide that naturally grows in it that they accelerate 1,000 times at least, and it kills bugs, it's going to kill you. And you're going to get gut disorders, and you're going to get cancer. I mean, we're living in fruitcake land, folks, and I'm off the reservation. I know it's the Matrix. I see it for what it is, and I'm beyond caring what they do to me physically, because I am here to stand up for my species. I will not just sit here and plug back into the Matrix and go off into the hinterlands. I got Simon in England and others, but let's go to Scott in North Carolina, then Simon. Scott, you're on the air. Thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Alex. It's not that I disagree with you. I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of a lot of things, but I'm not in denial. So, as your guest said earlier, I'm a good, decent human being who listens to you almost every day for about 3 years now. And I think you're not a general, but you're an attorney general who has an indictment against the system. So I listen to you as a grand juror trying to make a decision as to who's, what's the best for humanity. Is it the New World Order? Is it, fighting back? Is it maybe just sitting back and letting God take care of the whole situation? I don't know, but I listen to you, and I think that your arguments are very persuasive. The caller that was angry with you because you were angry, I don't think he was a bad guy. I think he knows what you have to say is right, but he doesn't know what to do with it. He's frightened.
Well, sir, let me just say this about the, the point you were just making. Well, what was the middle point you made? Because I wanted to comment on that.
Oh, gee, I sat for an hour trying to make points. The Attorney General with an indictment.
Look, here's the deal. You said God, just let God handle it. God works through humans. Or if you don't believe in God, the universe, whatever. But it becomes a cop-out. I mean, listen, if we won't stand up against it, when the UN last year in India alone, with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funding, 67,000 children were given weaponized polio that paralyzed them or killed them. And they've got us to the point where it was just in the news like, yeah, we gave 67,000 it. It's no big deal, though. Earth, but we've got to stick our hands down your pants because terrorists killed a couple thousand. I mean, it's all just pure bull. I mean, are you saying you don't believe that there are dangerous psychos running the world government right now?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know their hearts, and, as I listen to your show, I love the points you make about how we're creative human beings. You're a good person, Alex, but, if they're basing, I'm agnostic. I don't say that there's a God. I don't say that there isn't a God. God help us, is what I say. I think that, it's my point now, I hope, because it seems that they're stronger, that their intentions are good. Your intentions are good, but are the people behind the scenes? They never speak up. They never say what really is going on.
That's because they don't think you're human. They won't even talk to you unless they know you know that their whole plan. There's not many of them that know the whole plan. This whole thing's about master deception of compartmentalization. The value of this broadcast, not even what I'm doing, but what we do together, is unmeasurable. I mean, this is as close to what's really going on as you're going to get, okay? And you're like, oh, they're so strong. I hope they're not bad. Brother, have you seen the art billionaires buy? Even the New York Times has written about this. The most popular art is images of dead children hanging off meat hooks and things like that. I mean, these people are beyond hellraiser. Have you looked at what governments do in history? That's not humanity. That's the psychos that crave the power.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
We're going to go to Aaron in Nevada in a moment, but first, let's go to Simon in England. People who disagree with me. Go ahead.
Hi, it's an honor, Alex. I don't disagree with you about much, but there's one thing where I think the globalists have been hoodwinked as well as perhaps yourself being misguided. And it's about the HIV/AIDS story. I'll quote from a review by Mike Adams on Natural News. He talks about this film, House of Numbers, which has really broken the certainty that anybody has that there is either that there is a virus at all or that the virus is harmful. And he says essentially being labeled HIV positive is a tactic being used around the world to scare people into buying more high-profit AIDS drugs.
Sure, no. What they do is they use this virus as a cover for other viruses that they're really injecting people with the vaccine. So they are killing, in some countries, half the population in Africa or more with HIV, or what they claim is. It's a very sophisticated issue, but there are government patents for the autoimmune virus developed. I mean, it is a eugenic system. And then it's just a minor footnote, when they give 67,000 kids polio last year in the vaccine. It's like, oh, yeah, it's a footnote. They're dead or in wheelchairs now. We're the loving government, though. You need to trust us. Yes, I mean, look at all these famous boxers and basketball players who go, oh, I got the cure, and they're alive, 20 years later. But then the guy that, had 1,000 sexual partners and snorted methamphetamine all day, they die. Well, they died because they were on so many drugs. Go ahead.
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I'm in England, which is famous for having a very strong culture for defamation. And yet I'm happy to say that Robert Gallo committed academic fraud when he published the papers saying that he'd found this virus. And I actually wonder whether the globalists, they were thinking, oh, great, this virus has come along, but he kind of got one over them as well. And so
well, it is true. No, I mean, it is true that the AIDS drugs, many of them actually kill you, and they've tested them on foster children. See, people really aren't disagreeing. You don't have to say you're disagreeing, usually to get on air. People really aren't disagreeing with me. I mean, I want to hear why the New World Order is good. I want to hear why I'm wrong about that. That's what I've been asking. Aaron in Nevada, you're on the air.
I disagree with this notion of yours that it's not about Alex Jones. It is about Alex Jones. You built yourself up into this position. Now it's time for you to take the ball and go across and score that touchdown.
Well, I've got to learn how to balance my checkbook first, good. Look, man, I'm working up here some days 18 hours a day trying to get the word out and cover things. But I mean, what am I supposed to do?
We need a Brown versus Board of Education moment. And I like what Paul Watson's doing on Facebook right now. Everyone should join that. And I like what you're proposing to do, which is get arrested and fight it in the courts. That's beautiful, Alex. You are the man.
Well, look, I mean, it's not fun to get arrested, but I mean, if you can't draw political slogans on city sidewalks, which has always been protected, and they call that vandalism, see, they're misappropriating something to falsely charge you. It's like they say it's the law to take vaccines. No, they falsely kick you out of school for something that isn't the law, that's a policy that by law they've got to give you a waiver to. Then they trigger, when they kick you out, truancy and come arrest you or your parents for that. It's all a fraud. It's a syndicate. It's a conspiracy of color of law, civil rights violation. And all the codes are there. And they've got walnut brains with 80 IQs that probably can't tie their shoelaces that will arrest you for it. And it's all got to be rammed through these criminal courts. Here's a great example. The video's up at Infowars.com. Infowars reporters confronted by NSA. They were already going to be down there fighting RFID. The kids got to wear at the government training camps that they track them outside school with as well. So I said, why don't you go by the NSA? And I said, give them the court ruling where the NSA lost a lawsuit in Maryland saying you can't videotape, and give them this ACLU fact sheet. Now, the San Antonio Express News and the other San Antonio paper, the Weekly, they had their cameras taken and erased. And we have that linked in our story. When our people had the sunglasses, they could see, to use the they live analogy. The cops and the federal NSA people said, okay, you can go. We put you in our database trying to intimidate, but the point is you can go. Because they understood. We understand. You're the ones that are criminals spying on us without warrants and protecting your precious Al-Qaeda. We know you're illegal, you're criminal, you work for foreign banks. We're exposing your giant criminal centers all over the country. And you're the terrorist. You staged 9/11, so you can go right to Hades. When we come back, I'll mention it's on our government. The minions that work for it might be Americans and might not be bad guys. But the system's run by El Diablo. You know, I'm supposed to just get happy about Homeland Security checkpoints with TSA now on the highways and police being federalized and all of this. I'm supposed to just, hey, it's good. By the way, if you think I'm joking, we put up the video on screen of your PrisonPlanet.tv viewer of FEMA teaches police that founding fathers were terrorists. You can just search that term and find the video that a firefighter sent us of FEMA teaching them that. And we have the training manuals. Obviously, the bad guys teach that. Are we saying the entire system's bad? No, not at the bottom, at the top. Our country is rotting, and it will collapse. Those of you that love tyranny, you're going to get everything you want. Don't worry. Let's talk to Jim in Minnesota who disagrees. You're on the air, Jim. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. Hello.
Well, you're sure getting wound up there.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I found myself agreeing with you while I was listening. You mentioned Title 18, 241 and 242, and also Title 42, 1983 and 1985. However, oftentimes you're talking about, how Obama wants to take our guns away, or the TSA is acting with, unwarranted searches, and that this violates the law, and I tend to disagree. I don't believe that's what's actually happening.
Are you kidding? I mean, they ship guns to Mexico to try to blame the Second Amendment. Obama's trying to restrict guns outside of law. The UN treaty said it would restrict guns. The TSA aren't even sworn officers now running highway checkpoints that are totally illegal, sir. I don't care what you think. It's on record that is totally unconstitutional and the stuff of third world banana boat republics.
Genius is conspicuous through modesty and silence.
Okay, sir, give me your facts then. How is TSA on the highway running checkpoints constitutional?
The point of it is that the presumption of law is that we all got 6001 notice. We got due process.
And I appreciate your call, dude. I mean, we're in a tyranny. We're in a tyranny. We're in a tyranny. It's getting worse by the minute, and you're just throwing out some terms that mean nothing. You don't have due process under force de jure when they got a checkpoint set up under admiralty, administrative law, coming after you. Man, you're out of your mind. Joe in Alaska, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. I got to tell you that there's the information that you speak of. I do agree. I've been awake for about 10 years. After listening to your show for the last 4 years, I'm almost at the point of joining the pro-eugenics argument. I mean, I get bombarded with idiocracy on a daily basis when I leave my home.
Yeah, man, those are brain-damaged people under the eugenics and the cultural brainwashing. And sure, the average yuppie thinks everybody is scum. Let's kill everybody. The point is, ma'am, they're going to kill you too. You're getting fluoride. You're getting vaccines. You're getting chemtrail. You're getting GMO. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. Like I said, I have Crohn's disease that I developed 5 years ago because of genetically modified food where my intestines erupted and I would turn septic and had to have treatment for the last 3 years.
Yeah, there you go.
I get this. I understand it. I agree with you. What I'm frustrated with is the amount of idiocracy. I hear you complain about the stupid people that won't wake up.
Ma'am, you're more advanced. You're not brain damaged like them to that extent. They're just victims. You can't say, you know, oh, I get the elite now because they already, you know, gave them lobotomies.
Well, no. I mean, my own mother. How about this? My own mother told me not to talk to her about the things that I'm interested in because she doesn't get it. She literally said, can't you just call me and talk to me about Dancing with the Stars?
No, I hear you. Listen, those people are victims. You need to love your mother, plant seeds with your mother, and move on, darling. I hear you. I understand, and I'm sorry. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? We have a bunch of crooks that want a dominated society so they can control human development in charge. And it's that simple. And you can disagree about how bad things are with me, but people that are still denying there's no world government when they now admit it, it's just so silly. I mean, here's Hillary Clinton, and I'm going to go to a call from Kim. New York Times, Clinton suggests link to al-Qaeda offshoot in deadly Libya attack. I mean, they give all these different narratives. They put al-Qaeda in. That's how dumb they think you are. And still the #1 story in America is NFL reference. NFL referees agree to deal with league to end lockout. And I've got a guest on about the fraud that is sports and how most of it's rigged now. Today on the Nightly News, coming up 7 o'clock. Subscribe at prisonplanet.tv. There's a 15-day free trial, 2-week trial right there. So go sign up, watch it, support us, support alternative media. Take the archive, share them with people, prisonplanet.tv. Kim in Georgia, you disagree. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Jones, first-time caller. Thank you for talking to me. Been listening to you for a couple of weeks. Isn't it pretty much common knowledge that history repeats itself and that every superpower empire has destroyed itself from the inside out? And this is all pretty much inevitable. And if we don't rise up, millions of people die. And if we do rise up, millions of people die. What do you got to say to that?
But if we do rise up, at least in the info war, we win, even though a bunch of us die and get put in prison. Or we don't rise up and they win and even more die. But look, the issue is this is the 21st century. The globalists in countless documents say, oh, we're creating the final revolution. Look that term up. So that they've learned from the past tyrants, they want to fully take over and never be defeated and not have their evil collapse. And so it's a darkness from which we don't emerge if we don't beat them. It is a dream of just psychopathic demons that they're trying to manifest. So we've got to defeat it. And it's the great animating challenge. If you're not resisting this, you're not alive. If you're alive, really alive at some level, you know to resist this. And so when people laugh at you and ridicule you for being awake, it's sad. Don't feel bad that some zombie is making fun of you. They're following a mental masturbation program to just make fun of you because it makes them feel good. Okay, so you need to look up the ultimate revolution or the final revolution to understand all this.
I understand, but my point being is that either way, and millions die, don't they win ultimately?
No, they don't win ultimately the churches twist the Bible and teach that the beast wages war against the saints and overcomes them. But through that is the next mass awakening that happens. But God's people will challenge the evil. They won't go along with it. That's why they teach the rapture and all this, is so people stand down. And so people go along with it, thinking they're going to have a golden rope come down and God's going to pull them up there. Or like there's like a room up there with Captain Kirk and they're beaming people up and down. I mean, all of our Christian ancestors didn't get beamed out. They had to go through absolute hell, many of them killed. Almost all the disciples were executed. I see preachers on TV now and in church teaching that Christians were wrong to say no to Caesar and to be thrown to the lions. I mean, they teach abomination apostasy because the churches are now government whorehouses. Does that answer your question?
I suppose, but just playing the devil's advocate, since I've been listening to you, I've bought over 1,000 rounds of ammunition and I signed up for e-foods and all that. So I was just playing the devil's advocate to see what you would tell me.
No, I hear you, and thanks for putting up with me. God bless you, brother. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.